New construction or resale homes, which is the better option for you? What's going to hopefully appreciate more quickly than the other? What's going to keep your monthly payment at a more reasonable level? Today we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each so that you have all the information to make the best possible decision for you. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica Monroe. I'm a realtor in the Bay Area and I specialize in Solano County. If you are shopping towards the higher end of value in your community, you're probably considering the difference between new construction and resale. So how do they really stack up? We're going to start with the pros and cons of new construction. One incredible pro of new construction is that homes are energy efficient and they tend to be smart homes. So you can often control the heat, cooling, stovetop just from a click of a button. They also have a higher R value rating than most resale homes. R value is a great way to measure how well insulated your home is. So the higher the R value, the greater protection your home has against having excessive heat seep in through the walls, or during the winter time, having heat, which is very expensive, escape through your walls. So your home is going to be more energy efficient than the standard resale home. New construction houses also are required to have solar in California. As of July 2020, you have to have either leased or owned solar. And this should, of course, help protect your energy efficiency. It should offset some of your utility bills, and it's just a greener way of producing energy. Builders are also now required to meet greener building codes. For example, as of this year, unless it's already grandfathered in, new construction homes can no longer have gas hot water heaters, gas stovetops, or fireplaces. They will be replaced with all electric, which again, if you have solar, it makes sense. It should help offset some of your utility bills. Another exciting pro of new construction is, of course, being able to select your own finishes. Anything from flooring to countertops, hardware, cabinetry color. It's definitely an incredible way to create a more customized home and not have to live through a renovation. And depending on how far out your home is from completion, let's say they just poured the foundation and it's going to be maybe 5 or 6 months before you can move in, you might also have the opportunity to make some structural changes. You might be able to change a half bath into a full bathroom downstairs. You might have the option of selecting either a tandem garage or maybe turning that space into an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. Really great for multi-generational families. It's essentially a separate living space connected to the primary home, or it may give you an opportunity for some rental income as well. Typically making these decisions while the home is being built is going to be significantly less expensive than adding an ADU to an already established resale home. Pro number 3 is that with new construction, you might have the potential for your home to gain appreciation and value more quickly. This is because historically, each phase that a builder releases houses tend to increase in price point. So if you are in one of the beginning phases, you're likely going to get in at a lower price point than one of the later phases, even for the exact same home. So the potential for your home value to increase is probably greater than resale homes. That might not be true over time, but at least immediately you'll likely see quicker gains in new construction. So what are the cons of new construction? Well, first off, you're likely going to be paying towards the higher end of value in your area. You are, after all, getting a brand new house with new roof, new windows, new HVAC, and the price points generally match that. You're also almost certainly going to pay a higher property tax rate than you would for a resale community. So common tax rates for new construction hover between 1.6 and I've seen as high as 1.9% in Solano County. It's because for new construction, a builder is going to have bonds and levies to create the infrastructure of the new development, and those costs get passed on to the buyers. So that's something that you absolutely have to factor in. There's also often HOA fees, and keep in mind with new construction, you do have to pay for solar. So whether it's a leased monthly payment or it's owned solar, that may increase your out-of-pocket or monthly expenses. A major con of new construction is that you don't have the same protection periods as you would in a resale purchase. For resale, if you remember, you have 3 contingency periods. The right to investigate the property, so you have inspectors come through. If they find issues, you can either cancel or you may have an opportunity to negotiate with the seller. You have your appraisal contingency, so you have an opportunity to have an appraiser go out and make sure that they feel the value is in line with what you're offering. And if the appraisal comes in low, it's another point of negotiation with the seller. And the third contingency is your loan contingency, and that's a time frame to allow the lender to make sure that you actually do qualify to purchase the home. Well, for new construction, you only have one contingency, and that's qualifying for the loan. Typically, you'd have anywhere from 15 to 21 days for the lender to ensure that you do qualify for the purchase. You typically do not get to investigate the property. Builders are typically very resistant to third-party inspectors coming through because in California, home inspectors don't have to be licensed. The builder also has to have the city inspectors come through for every component of the build to make sure that things are done to code and they're permitted. So for the builder, that's security enough. If you're really interested, you can definitely put it in writing and ask. But it's important to note that the builder likely won't acknowledge the report and the information is for your knowledge only. Builders also typically write into their contracts that even if an appraisal comes in lower than the offer price, you are still obligated to pay the offer price, which may mean more cash out of pocket for you. You would not be able to wrap that into the loan. Now, as I've mentioned before, builders are very protective of their home values, and that's to help secure appraisal price points. So I feel it's uncommon to see new construction homes that don't appraise. But if you plan to add all the bells and whistles at the design center, you have all the upgrades you could possibly want, an appraiser may assign a different value to those upgrades than the builder does. And so you might be more vulnerable to the appraisal not quite meeting that price point. So just important to keep in mind. The only other contingency that you may have with new construction is being a contingent buyer, meaning that you have to sell your current house in order to purchase the new one. And every builder has different regulations and policies in place for this, so it's really important to read the fine print. Typically, a builder will give you a defined number of days to get your house into contract and sold. And if you don't do it within that time frame, you would be able to cancel and get your earnest deposit back. But again, each builder has different regulation. They may require that your home be on the market when you make that offer. So make sure you understand all the policies and regulations around being a contingent buyer. The final con of new construction is that for the foreseeable future, you're likely going to have to deal with some nuisances. Things like construction noise and excess dust. If you are sensitive to either, I would make sure you understand how far out the community is from being completed. Your home, again, is likely going to be better insulated than a resale house, so the noise factor may be minimal inside, but if you really want to enjoy that indoor-outdoor feel, just something to keep in mind, something you might want to consider if you are sensitive to noise. Another potential nuisance is that if you are in one of the earlier phases of building in the community, the postmaster is not going to deliver mail to the community until a certain amount of houses or a percentage of homes are completed. So for the time being, you would have to go to the post office to collect your mail. Most of my clients do a majority of their communication online or pay their bills online, so they don't seem to mind. But if you rely heavily on snail mail, this might be a nuisance to you. So again, you want to make sure you understand how far out you may be from actually getting mail service to your new home. Let's move on to the pros of resale. It's very common to see some beautiful updates in resale homes. It's common to see new flooring or countertops installed right before the seller places the home on the market. And the beautiful thing about updated resale homes is that yes, the price point increases to reflect those updates, but you can wrap that into the loan because those updates become part of the price point. so long as the house appraises, of course. With new construction, when you select those higher end finishes at the design center, the builder is going to require that you place a 50% deposit in cash to help purchase those items. You may eventually be able to wrap those upgrades into your loan, but with resale, you don't have to worry about coming up with that upfront deposit or having extra cash on hand. One major pro of buying resale is that you are likely to inherit a backyard that is partially or fully landscaped, and landscaping costs thousands of dollars. If the resale home that you're interested in does have a majestic backyard, you will likely have to increase your purchase price, but keep in mind, because that enhancement is part of the price point, you're more likely able to wrap that into the loan and not have to come forward with more cash out of pocket. With new construction, you're just going to receive a dirt lot. After closing, you are going to have to invest into your backyard with cash. You unfortunately can't add that cost to your loan. It's common to receive a landscaped front yard with new construction. It's likely going to be drought resistant, and you're probably going to have more restrictions on what you can do to change the front. So if you are big on spending time outdoors, you love gardening, it's really important to turn that space into your own. Resale might be a better option for you. One great pro of resale homes is for contingent buyers. You're more likely going to be able to time the sale of your current house with the purchase of a resale home more seamlessly than you would with new construction, and you'd probably make it so that you only have to move one time. With new construction, once you sign a new construction contract, typically the builder will require that you put your current house on the market within 5 days. And they're going to expect you to go ahead and sell the property even if your new home won't be built for another 5 or 6 months. And that means moving 2 times. It means finding temporary housing, and it also means paying to store your items. With resale, you can probably wait until you're just about ready to make the move, put your home on market. Yes, you will have to acquire a buyer likely to be competitive in the resale market, but you may also be able to ask your buyer for a rent back, which allows you to stay in your current house even after closing for a specified number of days so that you have time to close on your resale home. Now, typically a rent back is set to 60 days. If your buyer has financing, 60 days is the maximum you'd be able to stay in the home, which is why you have a little more wiggle room with resale versus new construction. You're probably further out than 60 days of moving into your house. The final pro of resale is that you're probably going to be able to purchase a resale home at a lower price point than you would new construction. That's not always the case. There are some very desirable, well-established older neighborhoods that are on par with new construction, but more often than not, the price point's going to be a little bit lower. You're probably also going to have lower property taxes. On average, you can likely anticipate anywhere between 1.25 and 1.4%. Not all resale homes also have solar, and that may be a component that saves you money up front. You won't necessarily have to deal with a solar lease or owned solar and maintenance. So if that's a point of concern, resale may save you money up front. So what are the cons of resale? Well, obviously you're not buying a brand new house, so things aren't going to necessarily be under warranty. You may have to have a larger budget for upkeep and maintenance. All houses are going to require some money for upkeep every year, but for a resale home, you may have to have a larger budget. Also, if you're planning to do any updates or upgrades, you're probably going to have to live through a construction zone. And we all know how hectic life already is, and adding that into the fold can sometimes be incredibly stressful. So that is something to consider if you're really looking for a turnkey home. Unless a resale house has been fully renovated, new construction might be a better fit for you. Another potential con of resale homes is that you're likely going to have to cover closing costs on your own. Because inventory is still tight, it's still technically a seller's market, and sellers are using money out of their own pocket to give you credits or to help you buy down the interest rate. So you're likely not going to be able to negotiate as strong of closing cost credits or incentives versus new construction. As mentioned, new construction might not lower the price point, but they're certainly offering some incentives to help offset closing costs or help you buy down that interest rate. Because they have deeper pockets than private sellers, you're likely going to have a better opportunity to negotiate higher closing costs with new construction than you would resale. The final con today for resale is that your resale house may not be able to keep up with future demands as well as a new construction home will, because new construction houses are more energy efficient, they're smarter homes. Your resale home may also have a dated or more compartmentalized layout, whereas new construction is going to be closer to what the future desires. However, resale homes will also have some charm factors as well, such as a yard. A lot of new construction developments just offer a sliver of a yard, and we may be leaning more towards higher density housing, which means that folks may not have a yard at all. So there are some charm points and benefits to resale as well. Ultimately, it comes down to your taste, your budget, and what fits your lifestyle. Feel free to reach out to me for any specific questions. Always make sure to have your agent go with you to a new construction community on your first visit. Otherwise, you may waive your right to representation. And trust me, it's really important to have an educated set of eyes helping you through the process.